This is a piece of fogwood, F-O-G, found on ground. This comes to us from our good friend Tuffy Marginez. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. And I'm looking forward to turning it. I wish I knew what kind it was. I do not. I have some ideas about how to go about turning this, and we'll talk about that. Before we do, I thought I'd tell you that I did get a new grinder. I think in my last video, maybe the one before, I said my grinder went out, and so I had to go get a new one. This is a Jet 1 horsepower high-speed grinder, 3450 RPM. My last one was a variable speed, and I always used it on the lowest speed, as most people do. But Dave at D-Way Tools said he preferred high speed, that he didn't see where it made a whole lot of difference as far as burning the tip of the tool. And we're dealing with high-speed steel when we're dealing with wood turning tools for the most part, and it made sense to me, so I went ahead and went with the high speed, and I'm really glad I did. I've sharpened on this just one time, just one gouge. It doesn't seem to make any difference whatsoever from my low speed that I used to use, except that it's faster. Doesn't take as long to sharpen. The tip did not get heated up at all. I'm using CBN wheels, and that helps quite a bit. I just think it's a real plus. Plus, this thing gets up to speed in a heartbeat, and it's quiet, and it's smooth, and it's solid, and I just love it. Our fogwood is about 7 inches from here to here, about 7 inches from here to here. Currently, it's about 8 inches tall to this point, about 4 inches tall to this point. I think what I'm going to do is go cut this off up here. I'm going to cut it off even with the top of this branch section, and this will be the top of our bowl. Now there's kind of an interesting theme on my channel lately. Not every piece, but several of the pieces that I've turned recently, I didn't turn the outside, and that's going to be the case with this one as well. I'm not going to turn the outside. I'm just going to make a bowl up here in the middle. What's really interesting to me is that on several of those pieces, I've gotten comments like, couldn't you just leave it alone? It looked great before you started. Well, I totally get that. I totally get that. And this piece is no exception. It looks totally great the way it is. But you know, this is a wood turning channel, not a wood collecting channel. I just love that part right there. How could I possibly turn that away? Isn't that gorgeous? Can you imagine? We're going to have a nice, shiny, light-colored wood bowl here in the middle, yet we're going to have this around the outside. It's just wonderful. It's just wonderful. I could not improve on that for a second. I've pushed and pulled on this piece, making sure that it doesn't want to come apart. It doesn't seem to want to come apart, so I'm going to trust it. This will be the bottom. And Tuffy wrote on there, fogwood, found on ground. So, like I said, if anybody knows what this is, let me know. Very interesting bark. This kind of looks like, gosh, I don't know, a bear's butt. Then again, it looks like something with a tail coming down here. It's going to be cool. So I'm going to go over to the bandsaw. I'm going to cut that off right there. I may cut a little bit of this off. I'm not sure. I'm going to see what it looks like once I get this part cut off. If I cut off any, it won't be much. So I'll take care of that, and I'll see you back over here at the lathe. We'll get it mounted up and start turning. As you can see, finding the center of the top puts me way off center of the bottom, but I think it'll be okay. It's just the way it is, just what happens when you deal with a piece of wood like this. I'm just going to, the bottom is quite flat already, but I'm still going to flatten it off just a smidgen, and then we'll lay out for a tenon or a recess, I'm not sure which. Going to be using a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. Going to be turning at 650 RPM, mask and face shield on. Okay, we're pretty flat. Layout for whichever tenon or recess. Well, let's see, what's it gonna be? I guess a recess would fit better. There is a crack in there though. You don't want to spread open that crack. I guess that means a tenon. I'm going to switch to a little smaller gouge. Well, quite a little smaller, 3/8. We're still leaving enough room here for a base. Oh, look at that, some yellow in there. That's probably deep enough. I've raised my tool rest a little bit so that I can use this flat diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. That's good. Now I've been asked where you can get one of these tools. I've been asked more than once, so I've done the research. I don't think you can outside of a set. I think I got this set at a yard sale. There's no name on here at all, and none of the tools have a name. It looks like this. Doesn't matter. These are common in beginner type sets of tools. I don't think you can buy this individually unless you find it on eBay or Craigslist or someplace like that. It's actually a very cheap tool. You can see how thin it is. It's very thin. It's not strong at all. That's why you got to get up nice and close with it. It's not going to work well supported out this far. You got to be right in there. But it does a terrific job. Probably wouldn't cost $20 brand new, probably, if you could find one. It's just a cheap tool. It is high-speed steel, but there's nothing to it except the way that it's ground. If you're looking for one, I would just look on eBay or somewhere, and you might even have to buy the whole set, but usually those whole sets are like $100, and there'll be some useful tools in there, and most likely including one of these. That's about the best I can do for you. Well, I see we have some loose bark right here, so I'll glue that down and I'll be back and we'll sand. I'm going to sand the bark. I'm going to start at 120 grit. Typically I do 180, and I will do 180 after I do this 120, but this is really coarse bark and I want to be sure I get it smoothed out. It's kind of nasty to touch. So 120, 180. When I'm done with that, I'll switch to my 2-inch disc at 80 grit, and I'll sand the bottom and in here, and that's all I will do with that. And I'll show you both of those as soon as I get my mask on. And then I'll do the same thing with the 180. I won't show you that. It looks the same. Then with the lathe spinning in reverse at 350. And forward as well. And I'll do that up through 400 grit, and I'll bring it back here and we'll put some, I don't know what kind of finish on there. See you in a bit. We are going with sanding sealer and then shellac for a final finish. What I'm going to do, I'll put the sanding sealer and shellac on this bottom, but on the bark I'm only going to put sanding sealer for now and then shellac later, because I'm afraid if I put the shellac on now and then once the top is done, I don't want to get sanding sealer on top of my shellac. So this will just be sanding sealer until we make the bowl part. I think that bark is going to look pretty nice with some sanding sealer on it. We'll find out here in a minute. Sanding wasn't too bad on this. Took a while, but not too bad. And of course I'll be brushing the bark, and I can't get in here, so I'll be brushing this as well. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. You don't share it with anybody, okay? It's just between you and me. That yellow, I remember now. I've had this piece for more than a year, and I remember looking it over when it first came in from Tuffy. These two pieces right here were separate. This and this, not separate, but separated. And so I put glue in there. That's yellow carpenter's glue that's in there. And apparently it squeezed out and got good and hard, and it's not going away. So that'll just be our little secret. Don't you tell anybody. I can't believe I remembered that. It's been a long, long time. Tuffy probably forgets he sent this one. Don't you, Tuffy? Yep, that bark's gonna look pretty special. I want to wipe this with a rag before we move on to the bark, because I probably have runs in there. Brush marks at least. And while I'm doing this, let me tell you about YouTube and comments and replies to comments. I just noticed that they turned off, I did not, because I never go in there. They turned off notifying me when you replied to something I said. You know, you say, "Good job, Phil," I say, "Thank you," you say, "You're welcome." Well, they weren't telling me that you said, "You're welcome," although you might have said much more than that. I'm just using that as an example. So if I missed something, if we were having a conversation and you replied with a question or something and I didn't answer you, that's why. Because I always answer. And I've been on them about those replies for years, because they're hard to find. They don't just show up easily. It tells me you've got this many comments or something. It doesn't say you've got replies that you haven't addressed. It never, ever, ever says that. I have to look through every single comment to see if there's a reply. It's just stupid. I don't know why they're like that. I guess they don't want us actually talking. See, this is going to look so good. Yes. In fact, it's going to look so good, I'm not going to show you any more of this. I want you to be surprised later. Okay, that's what I'll be doing. I'll put on 2 coats of this sanding sealer. No shellac. Turn it around, we'll start working on the inside, and that's when I'll bring you back. See you in a bit. I thought I'd take the precaution of strapping this down. The part that was coming apart that I glued is from here over to here. And of course I don't want to lose that. I don't know if I can trust the glue. I hope so. I feel like I can. Like I said, I wiggled it every which way, pulled on it, pushed on it, couldn't get it to move, so it's probably good. I got lucky. You know, it's always hard to find a path where this won't slip off. Well, somebody was going to cut this right here with a chainsaw, and then they changed their mind and came up here or down there, but they just touched it and made a little groove there, and that's just all I needed. So it's securely on there, it's not coming off. We're going to start turning. I'm going to use a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. We're going to be turning at about 600 RPM, mask and face shield on. I just need to see where I am here. I don't want to run off and cut this off. We can go further than that. I probably should have drilled this out. It's given me a real hard time here with all the hitting here and everywhere. Oh, I see some color in there, some gray, huh? I don't know if I'm working end grain here or what. Yeah, I guess I probably am, huh? Maybe I should be coming from the inside out. I can't go all that deep because the bottom of this section right here is right there. And then below that is another inch or so, but I can't get down into that because I'll come out the bottom of this. I wish I could get more speed up. Well, we're not in a rush, right? Yeah, that's about as big as I can make it. I don't want to get down in here to the bear's butt anyway. Seems to be holding. You know, I'm going to go sharpen up. I love this thing. I just love it. There's more of my yellow glue in there. Still holding. You have to be careful when you have projections like this. You're up here working. You got to be careful of these fingers over here. Keep them tucked in. That'd hurt, I'm thinking. I don't want to find out. I can actually go straight down into the bowl a little further. Straighten up these sides. Not too straight, that looks ugly. I think we might be pushing our luck now. Got to look down here and make sure there's no voids, and there is right here, right on the other side of this. I know you can't see it, but it comes way under this, way under there, and I don't want a hole in that. So we're probably pretty dang close. Yeah, you know, I think we're close enough. I'm going to sharpen up my negative reg scraper and we'll scrape. Okay, let's get to it. Time for sanding. Well, I've spent a few minutes gluing bark. This was all loose over here, and this was loose in here, and now it's not. I'm going to start sanding with my Sandoflex at 180 grit. I'm going to sand just from the inside out, just along this edge because it's quite sharp. So I'll be doing that, and I'm going from the inside out because I don't want to ruin my nice finish on the outside here. When that's done, I'll switch to my 2-inch disc at 80 grit and start sanding the inside, and I'll show you what both of those look like as soon as I get my mask on. Well, that was pretty easy peasy, but I'll bet you the rest of it's not. I'm sure my sanding disc is going to get caught by this bark inclusion down in here, and probably by this edge right there. But we'll see. Lay the spinning forward at 370. Yeah, it wants to catch it a little bit, not as bad as I thought. I'll do that up through 400 grit. I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll put some sanding sealer on there. It's going to look groovy. See you in a bit. Well, I guess this is as good a time as any to find out if it's going to hold together. It sure is. Ain't going anywhere. Yay. Alright. Sanding sealer. I forgot that I didn't put shellac on the outside yet. Duh. I'll do that at the same time I put it on the inside. I can't wait for you to see this setting up right. It's going to be cool. It's already cool. I like it quite a little bit. I need to paint a little bit inside here where the bark inclusion is. And touch up my edges. That's a little branch coming out of there right there, just like this one. Pretty cool. I'm going to call this piece the Bear Butt Bowl. B-E-A-R. Get your mind out of the gutter. Not the Bear Butt Bowl, but the Bear Butt Bowl. I think I'll just put another coat of sanding sealer on the outside here before I do the shellac. I'll just do that at the same time I'm doing the inside here. Make sure it's well covered. I do have 2 coats on there already, however. But we don't want to cut corners. No cutting corners in this business. Nothing but the best for you guys. Alright, that's what it's going to look like. That's what I'll be doing. I'll put another coat in here. Another coat on the outside. 2 coats of shellac. And I'll bring you back here in a bit and we'll take the tenon off. See you in a bit. I've mounted a block of wood up in my chuck. It has a non-slip surface on it, but that non-slip doesn't wrap around the edges, and I don't want those edges to mark the inside of the bowl because this does not go all the way to the bottom of the bowl. So I'm going to place another piece over that, and then bring up the bowl, and then bring up my tailstock. I still have the center hole there for reference, so I can just drive my live center into that. And we'll check here in a second and see if it's centered. I'm going to bring up my tool rest, apply a little pressure. We'll spin the piece up, see if it's running true. I'll just hold my fingernail against the edge of the tenon. And sure enough, it's nice and true. Turn the speed up to about a little over 500 RPM. I'm going to take a 3/8" standard grind bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. Now I just want to check for clearance. And we have good clearance. Look over my work here a little bit. Looks good. We'll just work it down a little bit further. That's pretty small, so I'm going to switch to a 3/8" swept back bowl gouge so that I can get in there closer. I'm also going to adjust my tool rest so it's a little bit closer and higher. The worst thing you can do is get under that tenon, because that'll cause it to pop right out of there. And I'm going to turn the speed down to about 400 RPM and just keep working it away. And that's quite small, so I'm going to turn the speed down to about 200 RPM, and I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl. Right hand on the gouge, pressure towards the headstock, left hand on the switch, and when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. Or breaks off. It's all good. Now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand it up, sand it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Be sure you stick around at the end of the video so you can see the before and after shot to this piece. If you'd share the video, wow, that'd be terrific. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very kindly. Well, here it is. One Firewood bear butt bowl. Bear butt? Bear butt bowl. Looks like a bear's butt to me. I might be taking that too far, but I just can't help it. It just looks like his hip, you know, he's walking along. On the other hand, over here we have a couple of legs. Maybe a couple of feet there. See them folded down? There's that chainsaw cut that saved me for my clamp. It's just a cool looking piece. I just really like it. I think it's one of my favorite pieces. It just finished up beautifully. It feels so nice. That bark used to be very, very rough and quite dirty, and now it's just gorgeous. I don't know, do you see anything else in there? I looked, I couldn't see any faces or any other animals. Kind of got a clover leaf going on there, maybe. 3-leaf clover. And there's the bottom all finished up. I just put fogwood on there. If you know what this is, for sure, I can change that. But for now, it's found on ground wood. From Tuffy Marginez. Thank you, Tuffy, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up, please. I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly. I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about one a week, and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome, and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.